Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's Partner Infopedia web conference titled Envisioning Discovery. We're finishing up a few last-minute preparations for our show. We'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes. I'd like to thank you for your patience, so go ahead and sit back, relax, and we'll be getting started shortly. Hello and welcome again to today's Partner Infopedia web conference titled Envisioning Discovery. We are broadcasting this web conference via Skype meeting broadcast, and the audio can be heard through your PC speakers. Today's web conference is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. If you do not consent to being part of a recorded session, we ask that you please disconnect your browsers at this time. Attendees may access the web conference recording via a link that will be delivered within 72 hours post-conference. You may ask a question at any time using the Q&A panel located either to the right of your screen or by scrolling down to just below the video pane. Our presenters are going to be responding to your questions throughout the presentation and again at the end of the presentation during a formal Q&A. Lastly, if you experience any technical difficulties during today's web conference, first try refreshing your web browser by pressing the F5 key. If that doesn't work for you, you'll want to click on the support link at the top right corner of your browser. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started with our show today. Presenting for us from Microsoft, we have Senior Customer Engineering Architect Bob Willey, also a Senior Customer Engineering Architect, Martin Renas. So without any further delay, I'm going to hand it over to our first presenter. Bob, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Janice. Hello, and thank you for attending today's Skype Academy session on the Skype Operations Framework. Today's session will be focused on discovery. I'll begin today's session with an overview of the Discovery Workshop and the collateral that's available on the Skype Operations Framework website. And then I'll be handing things over to Martin, who will take us through the Skype for Business Readiness Assessment. Real quick about me, my name is Bob Willey, and I am an architect on the Customer Experience and Deployment team. I am an active participant in the continued development of the Skype Operations Framework, and I am also currently applying SOF to multiple active Skype for Business deployments. Martin?
Thanks, Bob. This is Martin Renas, and the introduction from me is pretty easy. I like being the second here in that role because I'm, like Bob, a senior customer engineering architect in the same team. And as Bob, I am both developing this content as well as applying this to customer deployments. Thank you.
So hopefully you were able to attend Lester's excellent overview of SOF and what it is all about during the first Skype Academy session. If not, I strongly encourage you to review that recording when it is available. At the end of the day, through SOF, we are providing guidance to plan, deliver, and operate Skype for Business. To learn more, please visit www.skypeoperationsframework.com. Feedback is critical to the continued development and success of SOF. Please do take the time to share your feedback. As you consume SOF, let us know what is working and what needs improvement. Your feedback will help us to improve future releases of SOF. A quick disclaimer, this is a 1.0 version of this training. As we continue to iterate, some of the material referenced in this training will undoubtedly change. So for those of you that view this training as a recording in the future, you may find that some of the details are not identical to what you see in the training recording. When we have significant updates, we will look to update the training as needed, but please just keep this in mind. Now on to today's session on envisioning discovery. Please note that you can use the Q&A panel to ask questions throughout today's session, and we'll be answering those through the session and again at the end. As you can see, the discovery workshop activities take place during the envision stage of SOF, which is part of the plan phase. So that's where we begin today. So what is the discovery workshop? When we think about discovery, we begin this process by executing the discovery workshop. And to that end, the discovery workshop is really a set of activities and collateral that are used to collect important information about the environment where Skype for Business is being deployed. We care about the discovery process because the information we collect will enable us to make well-informed decisions and minimize project risk. The workshop is comprised of a kickoff, the actual data collection and analysis of that data, and then a workshop wrap-up, which includes an important technical interview. When the discovery workshop is complete, there should be a detailed understanding of the existing environment and knowledge of how the current environment will impact future envisioning activities. Additionally, output from the discovery workshop will be fed into the Skype for Business Readiness Assessment that Martin will discuss a little later in today's session. Again, the ultimate goal of the discovery workshop is to enable informed decision-making while reducing project risk. If done well, this can have a significant positive impact on any Skype for Business deployment. To deliver the discovery workshop, you must be familiar with the workshop materials. There is a PowerPoint presentation to review the process and goals of the discovery workshop during the workshop kickoff. There is also a robust discovery questionnaire, which is the core of the discovery workshop. You should also be familiar with call quality dashboard reports for both on-premises and online deployments. And finally, as a part of this process, we are providing a PowerShell script and an Excel workbook that can be used together to collect call quality and reliability information from on-premises environments. And more to come on that a little bit later. Next, we are going to dive into the discovery workshop process. I want to be clear that the slides we will review for the rest of my portion of today's session are a subset of the slides taken directly from the Discovery Workshop PowerPoint deck. These are slides that we use when introducing the Discovery Workshop to a customer and walking them through what is expected during the Discovery Workshop kickoff. This deck is readily available for use and can be found on the Skype Operations Framework website. So how do we execute the discovery workshop? We start with the kickoff. This is where we get everyone on the same page about the importance of discovery. Typical attendees for this kickoff meeting should include the project sponsor and the program or project manager for the Skype for Business project. With these attendees, we review all the discovery collateral as well as the expectations around data collection. And finally, we identify team members to assist with that collection and assign them the appropriate tasks. The next steps are almost always performed remotely over a few days or even weeks, depending on the environment. The assigned team members will complete the discovery questionnaire as well as collect any call quality and reliability information if available. Once collected, that information is passed back for review. It is our experience that it is very rare that any organization will have the ability to complete the discovery questionnaire during a live meeting setting, and that is a primary driver for separating the workshop out into a couple different stages. Typically, after the data collection is complete, a partner or customer architect will review the completed discovery questionnaire, making notes of the items that either need more clarification or will significantly impact the envisioning activities that will follow. Finally, a discovery workshop wrap-up call will be scheduled. This wrap-up session includes the technical interview with the customer. The technical interview is the opportunity to dive deep into the discovery questionnaire and ask any clarifying questions, as well as call out the impact of any environmental items that were discovered during this process prior to moving forward. The technical interview should include all team members that participated in completing the discovery questionnaire to make sure any clarification that is needed can be addressed immediately during the review. The output of this whole process will then be used to influence the envisioning activities that follow. The Discovery Questionnaire is a robust document used to collect relevant information about the existing environment during the discovery workshop. The document is broken up into manageable sections that can be assigned to appropriate team members to help distribute the effort required to complete the questionnaire. The completed questionnaire will be the basis for the technical interview that will be held at the end of the discovery workshop. And the Discovery Questionnaire is available for you to use today via the Skype Operations Framework website. You can choose to use the questionnaire exactly as is, or you can customize it as needed. If you do choose to do any customization, just be sure to keep track of what you're changing, as the completed questionnaire is used in other activities, including the Skype for Business Readiness Assessment Martin will be presenting on shortly. While we only expect to be reviewing the collateral with the project sponsor and a program or project manager during the discovery workshop kickoff, we do want to provide guidance for the types of roles that will typically be needed to complete the discovery questionnaire and collect any other additional information. It is very likely that the role names listed on this slide will not match exactly to every organization, but mapping these roles to specific team members should be pretty straightforward. Additionally, it is likely for certain individuals to be able to hold multiple roles in some organizations. To be clear, we don't expect these individuals to participate directly in the kickoff workshop. However, we highly recommend that any individual that does participate in completing the discovery questionnaire does attend and actively participates in the technical interview during the discovery workshop wrap-up. At this point, I would like to change gears a little bit and focus on the actual discovery questionnaire. This is a quick look at the table of contents for the discovery questionnaire. I'd like to point out that if you are driving a discovery workshop kickoff and leveraging this deck, it is right about this point where I would encourage you to switch over to the actual document for review. If that is not possible for any reason, like with today's session, the workshop deck will in fact provide slides to do a guided review of the questionnaire. Over the next couple slides, I have focused on 2 to 3 portions of the discovery questionnaire with some examples of how information collected can prove significant to future activities. For example, under the Cloud PBX and Cloud Conferencing Workloads section, we ask about number porting. If number porting is being planned, this can prove to be a major item in your overall project planning. Identifying the information required by the losing carrier to complete a successful port request can be quite a bit more complicated than it would seem on the surface. We have seen complications with number porting requests cause delays in projects. Additionally, misunderstandings about number porting scheduling can lead to customer satisfaction issues. So what seems like a minor item in the questionnaire can actually be quite impactful information to have leading into your envisioning activities and future planning. In another section, we ask about networking and access to Office 365 services. There are certainly a wide variety of networks deployed out there, and getting an understanding of the specific network model in use for an environment where Skype for Business will be deployed is critical. For example, at a recent customer, we were designing for a global cloud PBX deployment using Cloud Connector Edition. This particular customer happened to route all of their branch office locations through regional data centers for internet access and did not provide internet access at any of their local branches. This essentially eliminated our ability to consider deploying CCE at any of those branch locations, even though some of them had local PSTN breakouts. Identifying this information ahead of time can minimize rework and design issues that can happen if assumptions are made because environmental information is not discovered. Leveraging information from the discovery questionnaire will prepare you to address design impacting environmental items like this one. And finally, another section we have focuses on adoption and readiness. This can truly make or break a Skype for Business deployment. You can deploy Skype for Business from a back-end point of view perfectly. And if your end users don't know how to use it, or if they're not confident in using it to make their jobs easier or to do their job better, then there's a strong likelihood your project will not be as successful as it could be or could possibly outright fail. Adoption is critical to success, and knowing if the customer has their own adoption teams and adoption strategies can help you understand what it will take to implement a successful adoption program for your Skype for Business project. Okay, so that was a quick look at a subset of the Discovery Questionnaire, and just a friendly reminder, the questionnaire is available to you now. And next, I want to spend a few minutes on call quality and reliability. If there is an existing Skype for Business deployment, and whether that is on premises or with Skype for Business online, you may have the opportunity to gain additional insight into that environment by leveraging the call quality dashboard. Today's session is not intended to review how to configure a call quality dashboard for on-premises or online environments, or even how to best interpret that data. We do have some soft training sessions coming up that will speak to those topics, so please register for and attend those if you're interested in learning more. The main point from today's session is that discovering existing call quality and reliability information, if possible, can provide some additional insights into the existing environment that could prove critical in a cloud PBX or PSTN conferencing deployment. For example, if you are able to see that certain managed network segments are the primary cause of poor quality in an environment, you will be able to leverage that information to engage a network team to do some deeper investigation. Using that information to remediate any of those issues prior to rolling out the new services can ensure that end users have a good experience with those new services right away. One additional piece of collateral we are making available as a part of SOF is an alternative way for collecting some call quality and reliability information from on-premises environments. This is via a PowerShell script and an Excel workbook combination. So if there is an on-premises Skype for Business environment without CQD deployed, the OPR script can be used to gain insight into how the environment is performing. Detailed guidance for using the script in the Excel workbook is available along with the actual script and workbook through the Skype Operations Framework website right now. To be clear, we recommend using CQD if possible. However, if it's not possible for some reason, the OPR script can be used with the accompanying workbook to produce a CQD-like report that summarizes overall call quality and reliability information for an on-premises environment. So next, I'd like to take a minute to step you through what this actually looks like. So executing the script is pretty straightforward. There are a few parameters that can be passed, and they are documented well in the usage guide. But you can execute it simply by calling the script and passing an output location. And the screenshot you can see was executed with the verbose flag enabled to show the various activity that the script was performing. This is an example of the output CSV file that is generated. You can see a number of headers as well as the data that belongs to each one. And this output, it's not exactly very user-friendly or intuitive to view. So instead, we have a reporting tool built in Excel that can be used to turn the CSV into something that's a little more consumable. To generate a report, it takes just a couple steps. You open the output CSV in Excel and copy the second row or the data row that's in the top screenshot there on the right. Then you open the Discovery Script Report Excel workbook and select the OPR data sheet. You paste the data you copied from the CSV file into that sheet, and finally refresh all the data. Once the data is refreshed, you will see what should be some easily digestible charts displaying an overview of reliability and quality of the calls within the environment. While the script won't allow you as much granularity or manipulation as a CQD environment will, it will provide you with some insight into how the overall existing deployment is performing, and if you need to do some additional investigation prior to moving forward. Okay, so we're almost done, but before I wrap up, we need to return to the Discovery Workshop kickoff and specifically task assignment. So as we stated earlier, the Discovery Questionnaire is broken up into sections that can be assigned to appropriate team members for completion. The task assignment slide is intended to help with just that process. complete the following table with the project sponsor and program or project manager during the discovery workshop kickoff and communicate the task assignments out to the appropriate project team members. And this really begins the remote data collection and analysis phase of the workshop. So that wraps up the workshop kickoff, and you would end your time by making sure that everyone understands the next steps and what is expected from timelines for each of those steps. This should include time for customer project team to complete the discovery documentation, time for the partner or customer architect to review and analyze that information, and setting a day and time for the workshop wrap-up, which will include the technical interview to take place. And the technical interview is a very important step. It is the opportunity to verify and discuss in detail all the information collected during the remote data collection process with the appropriate team members. During this interview, review the entire discovery questionnaire as well as any call quality and reliability information that was collected, making sure that everyone understands the importance and potential impact on the Skype for Business deployment. This is a great opportunity to build a strong foundation on which all future activities will continue to build upon. So the last thing I want to leave you with is just an overall reminder of our goals for the discovery workshop. If all has gone according to plan, we have gained an understanding of the existing environment and how it will impact our future envisioning activities, which will help minimize overall project risk. Additionally, we can leverage the information collected in the discovery workshop in the Skype for Business Readiness Assessment, which we are about to hear more about from Martin. Just one more slide from me. I hope that you were able to take away from this session that discovery is a critical component of any Skype for Business deployment and that it pays to do it well and to do it right. Additionally, please take advantage of the discovery collateral we have made available for you via the Skype operations framework and provide us with your feedback on what we can do better in the future. And with that, I will turn things over to Martin to discuss the Skype for Business Readiness Assessment.
Thank you, Bob. So let's pause here for a second and think about it. The discovery workshop is completed. A lot of data and insights have been collected. What can be done with this information? How can this be used to ensure project success? I'm going to walk you through what the readiness assessment is, why it is important for the success of the project, and how to deliver the assessment using the tools provided. In our wheel of SOF, we moved on to the next stage, assess. This stage covers evaluation of infrastructure, network, operational, and adoption readiness for the deployment. This activity follows right after completing the envisioning phase. The readiness assessment is part of the assess stage in SOF. So what is the readiness assessment? By assessing all data and information captured during the envisioning phase, the readiness assessment drives project success and identifies areas that need attention and maybe some extra love going forward. Analyzing all the information requires a structured approach to drive the desired outcome. The readiness assessment provides the guidance and tools to assess this data. This helps to evaluate the readiness for Skype for Business Online, provide high-level remediation steps if required, and assesses IT operations and adoption strategy, including findings and recommendations gained from the separate network readiness activity. The readiness assessment sets you up for success and will help you to identify risks and blockers that can affect success of the project delivery. It also defines remediation actions, timelines, and owners. See this activity as a gating function before entering the next steps and phases to make sure that you are aware of all topics that need to be addressed. It might very well be that you do not have solutions to all open topics by the time of the assessment, and that is perfectly fine. The assessment will help you to surface those areas and make sure that they are being addressed going forward. You don't want to learn that there are not enough licenses available when you start to enable users later during the rollout. This is really, this type of learning should happen ahead of time, and this is why the assessment is there to help you identify those type of issues ahead of time. You might ask yourself, when can I start with this activity? What are the prerequisites for the readiness assessment? The discovery workshop that Bob just talked about needs to be completed, and the questionnaire needs to be available. In addition to that, the network readiness assessment should be completed as well. Both activities need to be completed, as we will use this output to evaluate the deployment readiness to continue. We haven't talked about the network readiness just yet. I highly recommend you to watch the training on the network readiness assessment, which is session 8, to learn more about the network readiness, as network readiness is a key component for a successful deployment. Here's a quick overview of the readiness assessment process, starting with the verification that we have all prerequisites in place so that we have the documents available to us. Remember, there might be some time between the completion of the discovery workshop Bob just talked about and this assessment activity. This is why there is an extra step here to verify that we have all of this information available. We also want to make sure that the questionnaire has all questions answered, and if that is not the case, this is our chance to schedule another data gathering call with the appropriate team members of the particular area. The actual assessment will happen in the next stage right after verifying the prerequisites. We will evaluate the questions using the Excel workbook that is available as a download of that particular asset. We will define the remediation actions and create a report based on the findings. After that is done, we're going to schedule a closeout call to go through the findings. During this call, we will share the findings, recommended remediation steps, and identify an owner, as well as agree on a timeline for those activities. Please keep these in mind when scheduling the call to make sure to have the right audience in this call. And the right audience here is really that we want to have everybody on the call that has a follow-on action, and we'll see about this later on. Let's go through these steps in a bit more detail. First, we're going to review the questionnaire. To review the questionnaire, read through all the answers and make sure that all the questions are being answered. There are only a few questions and sections that are not applicable to all scenarios, like there's a section that asks about existing Skype for Business on-premises components. But if there are none, it's fine that there are no answers in this section, but please make sure that all relevant sections are being answered. If all questions are answered, you're set to continue to the next stage. If there are open topics left, please use the time to schedule another data gathering call to capture the missing information and the missing answers. Now, all data has been captured. Let's start with the actual assessment itself. The current version of the assessment uses an Excel workbook to perform this analysis. You can find this Excel workbook in the downloads for the readiness assessment activity in the assess stage on skypeoperationsframework.com. Open the Assess Readiness Evaluation Workbook. The workbook follows the same structure as the Discovery Questionnaire, so the sections and headings should be familiar to you as you've completed the Discovery activity early on. The workbook contains evaluation guide for all questions in the questionnaire, along with suggestions how to unblock or remediate particular items. Go through this question by question to assess the current status. Also, be encouraged to add your own findings. Like as Bob mentioned, if you've modified the questionnaire, please make sure that those modifications are added into the Excel workbook here as well. So let's walk through this in detail. The first step is you would pick the question and review the question and the answer in the discovery questionnaire. The next step then is to evaluate the answer to the question to identify the status of that particular item. A status can be healthy, no follow-up question is required, no risk is identified. The status can be this item is potentially at risk, follow-up actions should be performed to mitigate this risk, or the status can be this item is blocking project success, remediation action is required to avoid project failure. The status is answered as 0, 1, or 2 in the status column, where 0 is healthy, 1 is potentially at risk, and 2 to indicate a blocking item. Enter the status column, and wherever the status is blocking or potentially at risk, you also would want to add a comment in the comment section to lay out what the actual problem here is, to give some context around this. After you've done that, we also want to include some remediation actions or some guidance on how to unblock this particular item. So now we've identified a risk. What can I do about this? The Excel workbook has some suggestions and some content ideas what you might be doing to remediate this particular item. So please review this and carry the information forward to the next tab. So the Excel workbook has another tab, which is the remediation checklist. So for every item that is in a blocking state or for important things that are in an unhealthy state, you would want to add an item to this tab as well. So what you would do here is add the item from the previous page, include the remediation steps following guidance that is provided with each item here. The owner of that item and the due date will not be added at this point in time, as we will walk through them with the team members later on in the closeout call. So at this point in time, those might be left open. This remediation checklist should be used and can be used as a living document through the further planning phases of the project. This will help you to collect and track all remediation actions and make sure that they have been addressed in one or the other way to ensure project success going forward. So now let's switch back to the checklist evaluation tab. Whenever a section is completed, the status will roll up for this entire section. And in this example here, section 3.1 is completed, and the status will roll up to that section 3.1 heading. It is recommended that you do include a comment for each section to highlight the findings of that particular area to get some more context here. Depending on the customer size and project complexity, you should expect this assessment and the analysis of all the data to take something between 4 to 8 hours. After completing this activity, you will export the Excel workbook into a PDF using the export to PDF function in Excel. The workbook is formatted in a way to include only the question, status, and comments. All other columns are not included in the PDF version, so this will give you a nice report that you can hand over. Please do send this report ahead of time to the participants of the closeout meeting so that they can prepare and get familiar with the things that have been identified ahead of time. To be able to run the closeout presentation, there is a PowerPoint template provided that can be used to run the closeout presentation. Update the closeout presentation to include all findings and remediation actions. Remember, this call is used to discuss the findings and agree on an owner and timeline. This PowerPoint template is also part of the package that can be downloaded from skypeoperationsframework.com. Schedule the closeout call. Make sure to invite the right people into this call. At a minimum, every team that has a blocking item should be part of this discussion so that you can agree on an owner as well as on a timeline and agree on next steps how to remediate this particular item. Walk through the findings, explain what you found and what needs to be done going forward to ensure project success. Agree and document an owner and a timeline for each finding. Document these in the Excel workbook. The Excel workbook then is a great tool to use going forward to track all the status and the updates to make sure that all the actions are being followed and remediated to ensure project success. To close out this call, agree on a schedule to follow up on remediation actions. In most cases, this should be a call that this call should happen once a week. So you want to schedule on a weekly call here. So in a nutshell, this is really what the assessment does. So what we just talked about is that by assessing all the data and information capturing during the envisioning phase, the readiness assessment drives project success and identifies areas that need attention going forward. In its current version, the assessment is driven by an Excel to perform the analysis, and you can find this Excel workbook in the download section of skypeoperationsframework.com. Set up a weekly call to follow up on the identified remediation steps to achieve the desired outcome. So with that, it's really the end of the summary of our section here. And I'd like to open the floor for Q&A. So if you haven't done this already, please use the time and go to the Q&A section and enter your questions here.
All right, thank you, Martin. All right, audience, as Martin mentioned, we're going to be starting our Q&A session here in just a moment. As a reminder, you can type in your question into the white text box in the Q&A panel located either to the right of the viewing or the video pane, or if you scroll down, it'll be below the video pane. And while we're waiting for those questions come in, if you've not already found it, I'd like to bring your attention to a link on the upper right-hand side of the viewing window that says, please take a short survey. That's a link to a short survey for this web conference, and we ask that you please take a moment before logging out to access it. We hope that you found today's information helpful, and if you enjoyed today's web conference or have feedback on how we can provide you with a better event, this is your chance to let us know. The survey scores are on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score possible. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Bob and Martin to address any Q&A. Bob, Martin, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you, Janice. So I do have a question here. Does SOF address any planning assessment for clients that are not migrating from an existing Skype environment, but perhaps from a traditional PBX or TDM environment? So currently, we don't have any specific guidance on migrating from a traditional PBX or TDM environment. However, as we plan to add additional offers to SOF, I definitely encourage you to log this feedback at www.skypeoperationsframework.com/feedback so that we can track it and others can vote on it. Thanks for the question.
So this is Martin. One other question that we've seen here is, will there be a session covering the network assessment? Yes, there will be a session covering the network assessment, which is scheduled for next week. So please do register for this session to learn more about the network readiness assessment.
All right, and it appears as though we've addressed all the questions, either by text or just verbally. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's web conference. Attendees may access the web conference recording via a link that will be delivered within 72 hours post-conference. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenters, Bob and Martin, and I'd like to thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us today. You may now disconnect from the web conference.